Okay, welcome to today's session. A new topic uh, that is network analysis. In this network analysis, we need to study about the construction of networks, Fulkerson's rules for numbering the nodes, AON and AOA diagram. So AON is nothing but activity on a node. AOA means activity on arrow mark diagrams. Next, we need to study about the critical path method, that is to find the expected completion time of a project, determination of floats in the network. And next topic is the PERT network, that is a project evaluation review network review technique. So that PERT networks. So that PERT will be studying for the determining the probability of completing a project and predicting the completion time of the project. So we need to predict, so we can predict the completion time of the any one project. And next one, there is a crashing of network. Crashing of network is used for the cost analysis in a network. Okay, these are all the contents we need to study in this chapter, but today we'll study about the what are the different phases used in the CPM PERT technology, and next one, so how it is started, and after that, advantages and the applications of the PERT CPM, and what are the difference between the PERT CPM and the PERT CPM terminologies we'll study, and next, common errors and how to start with the drawing the network. Okay, now these techniques, network analysis technique, can be used. So whenever there is a huge projects are planned, such as a building of dam, or the construction of a bridge, or launching a satellite, and erection of steel plant. So wherever there is a huge projects, there we can adopt this technique. So why we supposed to adopt, how we can adopt this one? So we can divide the huge project into a number of activities. Again, those number of activities can be divided into a small activities. So for each small activities, we need to specify the what are the sources required and how much time is required and who are all the workers we required. So everything we can schedule. And PERT is developed by a team of engineers working on the Polar missile program of a US Navy in the 1950s. This subject started between only 70 years back, 1950s, especially after the Second World War. So that was studied in the previous session. So when we starting this subject. And CPM, critical path method developed by the Walker from DuPont de Nemours company to solve the scheduling problems. If we want to finish the any project, then we supposed to do the scheduling of the activities, and for each activity, we need to mention how much time is required, and depending on that time, we can draw the network and we can complete with it. So what is the minimum time? Minimum time to complete that project. So what is the minimum time to complete the project that we can study by using the CPM and PERT? And it's a very interesting topic, and if you learn, then you will love to solve the n number of problems on these topics. Okay, then the first topic is the phases or the basic steps involved in the PERT or CPM technique. So what are the different phases? One is the planning, and next scheduling and the controlling. What is the planning? This phase involves the this planning phase involves the splitting of a huge project into several small projects. These smaller projects in turn again divided into activities and thus analyzed. In addition, the cost and duration of each activity or project is determined. In this planning phase, so we can divide the huge project into a smaller projects. Again, smaller projects can be divided into each activities. For each activity, we can write the cost and the time required for completion of those activities. And second phase is the scheduling. This scheduling consists of the determining the sequential order of activities. This schedule is consisting of the determining the a sequential order of the activities and the other informations like what is the starting time and what is the finishing time for each activity. What is the starting time and what is the finishing time for each activity. And next one is the critical path on which activities require the special attention. In the scheduling, we need to mention which all the activities are critical and which require the uh, a special attention. So, for example, if any one project that any one activity is a critical activity that should be finished within 2 days. In such cases, at whatever the case, it should not be delayed. If it is delayed, then the whole project will be delayed by the whatever the time is delayed for that particular activity. The slack time and the floats for non-critical activities. So again in the scheduling, we need to concentrate on the slack time and the float, FLOAT, floats for the non-critical activities. And third phase is controlling. In the first one, so we have planned, so depending on the project, and the second one, so we are scheduled. Third one is so whatever you are scheduled that you need to control. Okay, this third stage consists of making or preparing the periodical progress report. So making or preparing the periodical progress report, it means that so periodically, so whatever the actions are taken and how much work is finished, so that we need to write the status of the progress report and review and they analyze the status of the project. So in the first one, so if you making or the preparing the periodical progress report, and next one we need to review. So how it is done. So which are all the difficulties they are faced, so that we need to review of the status of the project. And third one is management decision regarding the updating. Once if you review, then the management will take care of that. So how to conclude with these controls. So how they can control the status of the project and crashing and reallocation, etc. So these are all the basic phase steps involved in the PERT CPM technique. Okay, next we'll move on to the advantages of PERT CPM technique. So then why are we supposed to study? What are the advantages of studying this PERT CPM? This mainly helps management in the planning, scheduling and controlling. It mainly helps in the planning, scheduling and controlling. It also helps the management in forecasting the probable project duration. So forecasting the probable project duration. It helps management in reaching the goal with the minimum time and least cost. This is the main important. The CPM part will help management in reaching the goal with the minimum time and least cost. Because so nowadays, if any project is there, so that should be completed within a shorter time as well as with the least cost. So this CPM part will help to complete the goal with the minimum time and a least cost. It also helps in identifying the critical and non-critical activities, which in turn helps in controlling the project. So critical and non-critical activities you will come to know about while solving the problems on CPM. So critical activity is nothing but the activity which cannot be delayed. If it is delayed, then the whole project will be delayed. A non-critical activity in the sense, so even though if you delay by 1 day or 2 days, so then nothing problem with the project duration. And last one is this makes people more responsible towards the executing the project. So how it is responsible towards the executing the project. So it means that so the whole project is divided into n number of activities, and for all the activities, if you are given the timing, so one project should be completed from July 13 to July 16. In that time, so if you know the perfect work, so that responsible persons will, so they will concentrate on, okay, there is a deadline, I need to finish. So that's why for completing the any one project, there should be a schedule. So, so these are all the different advantages of the PERT CPM technique. Next is what is the application then? So here we can apply these PERT CPM techniques. we can apply this. So as I already told that, so this can be applied in a huge constructions, a huge project. So like a construction projects such as a dam, bridges, buildings, factories, and the railroad, etc. So anything. So even so they are mentioning the only huge projects. So even in the college also we can apply this, because in the college also we are planning at the initial semester starting, so we are planning the course plan. So how many hours I need to take for the first module and the second module, third module, and when we should have the internals. So within that internal I need to finish up this syllabus, and when we supposed to give the assignment. At the same time, students also planning that, so how many chapters I need to finish by which date. If you are planning like that, then at the time of the exams, you won't face any problems. If you are not studied in time, then you will face the problems at the time of main exams. And this PERT CPM can be applied to the irrigation projects also. And next one, so this can be applied to the manufacturing and maintenance department. And so it is very useful in the R&D, research and development. We can use it because especially PERT is applicable to the research and development. Next, we can apply this to inventory control, supply chain management. General administration also we can apply. For the general administration also we can apply this per CPM. Next, marketing and launching new products and aerospace projects. Okay, we are listed hardly 6 to 7, so these are not limited. So not only these applications, so you can apply this per CPM techniques to wherever the scheduling can be done. Wherever the scheduling can be done, so there we can apply this per CPM technique. Next is okay, we are using the word per CPM. So then what is the difference? If there is no difference, then why two words? So there should be literally anything different. So PERT stands for project evaluation review technique. Project evaluation review technique. Okay, it's here. So okay, it stands for project evaluation review technique, and the CPM stands for critical path method. So CPM stands for critical path method. But mainly emphasis on more on events. So till now you don't know about what you mean by event, but I'll explain in the after this topic. It emphasizes more on the events, but whereas the CPM will emphasize more on the activities. It will emphasize on more on the activities. A PERT is probabilistic in nature. What do you mean by probability? So probability in the sense, so it will not give the exact number. So probably I may come to college today, or else I may finish my work today. So that is a probabilistic in nature. But the CPM is deterministic. So at what time, when exactly it will give the answer, CPM. So this is the main difference between the PERT and CPM. A fourth is it is used in a repetitive job. So this PERT can be used in a repetitive job, but the CPM can be used in either repetitive or the non-repetitive. So for both the types, so we can use this CPM. PERT is its application is in the research and development. So, but the CPM can be used more in business and construction. Business and construction, we can use it more. Sixth is it can be applied only for big projects. So PERT can be applied for only for the big project, but the CPM can be used for both small and big projects. It is a pre-time estimate. So this is the main important. PERT is the pre-time estimates. One is the optimistic time and most likely time and the pessimistic time. But a CPM is only a single time, only the single time. So here in the PERT, if they are given with the 3 times, then we can, so there's one formula TO plus 4TM plus of TP divided by 6. So that expected time can be calculated by this time, this formula. So then this T will become a single time as it is the estimated time for the CPM. Okay, construction of network and the solving the problem is almost all both are similar, but in the probability in the part we need to use the few number of problems separately. Next comes to the PERT CPM terminology. Okay, especially in all the chapters we are studying the terminologies. Why are you supposed to study the terminology? Because if you know the terms used in this topic, that's a well and good. So if I say network, what is the network then? Or if I say activity, what is the network? So what is the activity? So that you're supposed to know. Okay, network is nothing. Network or the arrow diagram is nothing but it is a graphical representation of the logically sequenced activities. And network is the graphical representation of logically sequenced activity shown as arrows. Shown as arrows. So shown as arrows. And connecting the events shown as nodes. Okay, here for the active network, we can draw one network like a event 1, activity 1, event 2. Okay, this is a 1 and this is a 2. And here we can write the A. Okay, if it is one activity, so that activity we are showing it by the network. Here 1 and 2 are the we can call them as either events or nodes. So both names are same, either nodes or the events. But A is the activity. A is the activity. A is the activity. Okay, for the A activity, a first node is the starting node. So this one we call it as a starting node. Starting node. Whereas the 2 is the finishing node for A activity. Finishing node for A activity. Finishing. So how to identify the starting node and finishing node means a tail of the arrow mark. So tail of the arrow is at the 1. So this is the starting point. So here it is reaching at the 2. So that's why it is the finishing point. If you draw the one more network, 1, okay, here we can see that okay, for the A activity, 1 is the starting node and the 2 is the finishing node. For the B activity, 2 is the starting node and 4 is the finishing node. For this D activity, 4 is the starting node and 5 is the finishing node. So don't get confused. So from here that a tail of the arrow mark is started, so that we call it as the starting point for that particular activity. This is about the network. Okay, next is the activity. An activity is a task associated with a project or any individual operation is called the activity. An activity is a task associated with a project. Any individual operation is called the activity. An arrow, an arrow is a commonly used to represent an activity. So already we have solved one draw the network. So the activity means so this A, B, D are the activities. Okay, there are different types of activities are there. One is a predecessor activity, another one is a successor activity, third one is a concurrent activity, and the fourth one is a dummy activity. There are totally 4 types of activities are there. So we're supposed to know about the all the different types of activities because while solving the problem they will give the whether it's a predecessor activity or the successor activity. Okay, here I will draw one network. I will draw the same network again. Okay, 1 A, so 1 to 2, it is A, B is 4, Next one it is 5. And here, okay, one more network will take 3. This is a dotted line, that is a dummy activity. That is dummy activity. Okay, predecessor activity means, first one we will study now. A predecessor activity means it is an activity which has to be completed prior to the starting of the another activity. I repeat once again, a predecessor activity means it is an activity which has to be completed prior to the starting of another activity. In a diagram, A is a predecessor activity. A is a predecessor activity to A is a predecessor activity to the B and C, because if you want to start with the B and C activity, A has to be finished. So that's why A is the predecessor activities to the B and C. At the same time, B and C are predecessor activities to the D activity also. It means that if you want to start with the B and C, A has to be finished. So that's why predecessor for previous activity. Next one, if you want to start with the D activity, so then B and C should be finished. In this given network, A is a predecessor to B and C, as well as B and C are predecessor to the D activity. Okay, next comes to the successor activity. What do you mean by successor? So afterwards. It is an activity which can start only after the completion of another activity. Successor activity is an activity which can start only after the completion of another activity. In a diagram, B and C are successor to the A activity. It means that after completion of A only, B and C are started. The meanings of the predecessor and successor almost all same, but the predecessor means previous, successor means afterwards. D is a successor to the B and C. So by seeing the diagram, you can say that A is a predecessor to B and C, and B and C are predecessor to D. Or else we can say it as a B and C are successor to A, D is a successor to B and C. And third comes to the concurrent activity. What do you mean by concurrent activity? Activities which can be accomplished concurrently at the same time or simultaneously. In the given diagram, the B and C are the concurrent activities because B and C are started at the same point. But the finishing is a different, but the thing is B and C are started at the same time. That's why it is the concurrent activities. Next one is a dummy activity. A dummy activity is an activity which does not consume any kind of the resources or the time attached to it. The dummy activity will not consume any of the resources or the time attached to but it will connect from one activity to another activity. It is a necessity in a network in order to show continuity and logic in network connection. Okay, to prevent the activity C from dangling, if you don't draw this dummy activity, then there is a chance of this C activity will be dangling. Dangling in the sense it will be like a hanging, so it is not connected. In order to prevent that one, we need to connect by using the dummy activity. Okay, next one, event or the node. Okay, one more thing I want to tell. So while drawing the network, be clear. While drawing the network, so this circle you need to draw. this circle you need to draw. So this circle is nothing but the event. So that number has to be written inside that circle. Next one, so while drawing the network, this should be started from this circle only. It has to touch. Next one, you supposed to show the arrow mark, because so till here it is drawing. And while completing, so give the next number and draw the network like this. Again, this arrow mark has to be touched to a next circle. And after that, that activity has to be written on this arrow mark. This is the AOA network. This is the AOA network. AON network, in the sense, if you draw the net circle, next one draw the arrow mark, draw one more circle, and if you write the arrow marks inside the node, that we call it as a AON network. AON network. Usually for solving the problems, we will solve only AOA. Will solve only AOA. AON we are not using for calculating the any of the problems. That's why I won't concentrate more on AON. Whatever the networks I'll draw, that will be only AOA. Yeah. Activity on arrow mark. Activity on arrow. Activity on arrow diagram. So whatever I'll draw, that is only the no numbers will be, node numbers will be given in the circle. Next one will be drawn with the network, that arrow mark, and next the next finishing node will be drawn, and that activity will be written exactly middle on the arrow mark. So do not write the activity below this arrow mark. Below this arrow mark you should not write, because the name itself is a activity on arrow mark. That's why I'll concentrate only on the arrow mark. So this is the way you need to draw the network. Well, if there are n number of activities, you're supposed to draw it clearly. Okay, draw a circle, draw the arrow mark, and again draw the circle. For the next activity, again start from the exact point and finish like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Always that number should be with the increment numbers. This may be 4. If there is a one more activity, then you can contact like this, and you can draw like this, n number of activities. So this is the way you need to draw the perfect network. Usually the students, so what the students will do, the way of drawing a network by the students is, this is not the correct way of, okay, this one is okay. So what I have drawn here, this is correct, but this will be the wrong. If you draw a network like this, then it's a wrong, because there should be a connectivity between the network, that arrow mark, and the nodes. Be clear. So while starting from the unit itself, you need to practice with this method. This is the way you need to draw. So then only you can score the good marks. As well as, so that clearly indicates from here the activity is starting, as well as from here it is finishing. Okay, next with this is the net. So how to draw the network? Now we'll move on to the events. Now we'll move on to the events or the nodes. Okay, event or the node. So the point at which the completion of some activity and the beginning of new one. The point at which the completion of one activity and the beginning of the another. That we call it as a either node or the event. Either node or the event, that we call it. Okay, now I'll draw one network. Okay, already I have explained that how to draw the network. So you need to draw it carefully, because there should not be any gap between the a network, that arrow mark, and the node. This is the way you need to draw the network 5, 6, 7. Okay, here we need to study about the merge event and the burst event. What is the merge event? When more than one activity arrives and join an event. For any one event or the merge, if the more number of activities are arriving or the joining to the event, so that event we call it as a merge event. In the diagram, so we can see that a fourth. In the diagram, we can see that a 4 and 7. 4 and 7 are the merge events. Because at 4 and 7, the more than one activity is arriving. More than one activity is arriving. That's why the 4 and 7 are the merge events. A burst event, the name itself says, what do you mean by burst? So from here it will get the blast. So that is the when more than one activity or leaves or the departs from the any one event, such type of event we call it as a burst event. In the figure we can see that one number from 1 there are 2 activities are bursting, and from 3 it is again a 2, and from the 4. So it means that burst events are 1, 3 and 4. So these 3 are the burst events. And last one is a merge and burst event. An event into which more than one activity arrives and from which more than one activity leaves. So from any one node, more than one activities are arriving as well as more than one activities are leaving. So such type of node we call it as a merge and burst event. So in this figure, this is the merge and burst event, because at the fourth there are 2 activities are arriving and the 3 activities are leaving the node. That's why merge and burst event is the fourth node itself is the merge and burst event. Okay, next one, we need to study about the what are the common errors. This is about the PERT and CPM terminologies. With concern to this, common mistakes or the errors while drawing the network. Common errors committed while drawing the network, while drawing the network. Okay, what are the common mistakes? So already I explained that one thing is, so while drawing the network, that node and arrow mark should touch each other. That node and arrow mark should touch each other. Also, there is a first one is one more common mistake is a looping or the cycling, looping or cycling. This is a common mistake and it should not happen. Also, it should not looping or cycle in the sense. So here we can see that it is a activity, it is B activity and C activity. Here we can say that A is a predecessor to B, B is a predecessor to C, again C is a predecessor to A. So we cannot say that which is the starting node as well as which is the finishing node. So such type of network is not allowed. So that is a common error and it should not happen. And second one is the redundant activity. Redundant, Redundant. Redundant in the sense, so if the any one activity is not taking the place, or else, so for example, if there is a one more activity, so if it is connected with the dummy, so this is not the correct way, because so for showing the one full network, we should not connect with the only the dummy activity. Okay, this is one network. We can write that node numbers and anything. Okay, now in between, if you show it by the dummy activity, this is not the correct way, because instead of showing the dummy, this is the redundant activity actually, redundant activity. You can remove this dummy and make the big circle. So make the one more activity and just name it. That's a fine. So do not draw the dummy activities even though if it is not necessary. This is the one more common error. And the dangling in the sense, so as I already explained that, so from this fourth, if you draw the one more activity like a 8, if it is not connecting to the finishing node, then this 8 node is a dangling. So such type of network is not allowed. Such type of networks are not allowed. These are all the and common errors while drawing the network. At the same time, so I will show the other cases also. Some and always this while drawing the network, we need to use this straight line only. Either it is an incline, so that's okay. But we need to use the straight line only. For example, okay, it is a one activity. The same activity is finishing at another one. So it is 1 and it is 2. If you say it is a and B, now I have drawn the curved lines. It is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. Even though if you, so instead of drawing like that, so we can draw like that 1. It is A. Here we can draw B. Okay, from the B we can show it a dummy, that is a straight line, and we can write it 3. It is okay. This one we can draw it. Also, if you don't want to draw the dummy for the B activity, then you can show it. It is A. This is a B. You can show dummy from here also. This is the way you can draw it. Either this or this we can draw it. If the two activities are having the starting point and the finishing point same, then we can draw like this. But whatever the case, so do not draw like this with a curved line. So that is the wrong way of the drawing the network. Okay, in the next session we'll study about the Fulkerson's rule for numbering the events as well as how to draw the networks. Thank you.